Jason was accompanying his first love for her prenatal checkup. Meanwhile, I was alone, scheduling an abortion. Our eyes met. I curled my lips into a smile. What a coincidence. Later, when I wished them a happy life together, he didn't seem pleased. 1. Jason. The familiar sound of his name made me freeze, and I looked up abruptly. Not far away, a man and a woman were facing each other. The woman had delicate features and a small baby bump. The man, tall and well-built, was none other than my husband of 1 month. My mind went blank in an instant. I quickly ducked behind a corner. By the time I could think again, I could no longer hear their voices. She was pregnant. The woman Jason loved was pregnant. He had come with her for a prenatal checkup. They looked so harmonious, so happy. A baby should be born into the loving anticipation of both parents. I gently placed a hand over my own belly. After a long while, I walked to the other side of the clinic. The nurse told me a family member had to sign off on the abortion. I kept my hand firmly on my belly and replied firmly, "That won't be necessary. I can take responsibility for my own body. I have the right to decide whether I keep it or not." I signed my name and went out to wait. Samantha's voice drifted closer. "It's strange, I haven't had any morning sickness at all. Maybe the baby's just being really sweet. I feel like he's here to repay a kindness." I turned my head and saw Samantha and Jason walking side by side. Jason was holding a bag, probably hers. Our eyes met. He paused, clearly surprised to see me there. I stood up and smiled. What a coincidence. Jason's expression quickly returned to normal. "What are you doing here?" he asked casually, his voice deep and indifferent. I smiled back and returned the question, "And you?" Jason said, "Just picking something up." "Are you done here?" "I still have to wait a while." "All right, I'll head out then," he said as he walked past me and left. Samantha gave me a polite nod and a soft smile before following him. I sat back down. The plastic chair was cold. Eventually, I lay on the operating table. The surgical light shone above me. I closed my eyes, and hot tears rolled down from the corners. By the time I left the hospital, it was already dark. I booked a ride back to our new home. Jessica told me Jason had been back for a while and was waiting to eat with me. But I had no appetite, just wanted to sleep. I told Jessica I wouldn't eat and headed up the stairs. Jessica quickly followed. "Ma'am, you look really pale. Are you feeling sick?" "I'll call the doctor right away." I forced a smile. "I'm fine. Just tired. I'll feel better after some sleep." "Ma'am, if you feel unwell, please let me know." "I'll call Dr. Ryan," she said from behind. "Okay," I responded softly and went upstairs to the bedroom. I washed my face and brushed my teeth. I didn't bother with a shower or skincare and came out of the bathroom quickly. Jason came in through the door. He walked over and studied my face. "Not feeling well?" "I'll call Dr. Ryan." "No need. I just need to sleep." I walked to the bed and lifted the covers. Jason followed and watched me quietly for a moment, then smiled and asked, "What were you doing at the hospital today?" I hadn't expected him to ask that. I didn't know how to respond. Then it hit me, he probably didn't really care what I was doing there. I looked at him. The usual smirk played at the corners of his mouth. He always looked so aloof, so detached. I lowered my head and shook it slightly. "I didn't follow you there." "I know," he said, gently stroking my cheek. "You've always been obedient. I picked you myself. Of course you wouldn't let me down." 2. Jason did choose me himself. There were countless women who wanted to marry into his family. My family had the least to offer. In our circle, people called our company a small business worth barely a few $100 million. But Jason still chose me, because I was obedient, had no temper, and wouldn't dare to interfere in his life. Even after we got married, nothing changed for him. For him, this marriage was just something to appease his family. For me, it was the last lifeline for our company. I needed Jason, more accurately, my parents and our company needed him. We got everything we wanted. And from the looks of it, Jason seemed satisfied with me too. I'm going to sleep, I said with a faint smile. A while later, I heard his footsteps as he left the room. I curled up in bed and closed my eyes. It was cold. My eyelids grew heavy, and I started to drift into sleep. Then I felt someone wrap their arms around me, a large, cool hand resting on my stomach. It was Jason. I immediately woke up and reflexively held his hand back. I'm not feeling well tonight. What's wrong? His voice was low and husky. I instinctively shrank back. The image of him and Samantha together flashed through my mind. Her pregnant belly. The thought of it filled me with a strong sense of rejection. I really don't feel well. Can we not tonight? I said softly. Jason's hand remained on my stomach. He held me silently for a while, then tightened his arms around me. Sleep, he whispered. Ever since we got married, whenever he was home, he would hold me like this every night. At first, I'd foolishly thought that meant he loved me. But no matter how naive I was, the moment I saw him with Samantha at the hospital today, I couldn't lie to myself anymore. I just didn't understand. If he loved Samantha so much, why did he marry me? And if he loved her so much, why was he holding me at night? I fell asleep. When I opened my eyes again, the room was still dark. Jason was no longer beside me. I picked up my phone to check the time. It was already past 9. I went to the bathroom, took a hot shower, quickly dried off, put on some warm clothes, and went downstairs. Jessica wasn't around. Only the maid, Lisa, was cleaning. She looked up from her work. You're awake. Would you like something to eat now? I nodded. In the open kitchen, Lisa worked for a few minutes, then called out, "Food's ready." I sat at the island counter and filled my stomach. Just as I was about to head back upstairs to rest, I heard a ding. The elevator doors opened, and Jason's tall figure stepped out. I looked up. His expression was cold. He stared at me without blinking and walked over. The pressure of his towering figure made it hard to breathe. I met his eyes, wanting to ask what was wrong, but no words came out. What part of you isn't feeling well? Jason suddenly asked. In that moment, I knew, he had gone to the hospital. He knew everything. Lucy, you've got some nerve, Jason said, his voice so low it felt like it came from underground. I lowered my head. I didn't know what to say. I didn't even understand why he was so angry. Did he really want me to keep this child? I would never allow my child to be born into a home with no love, no warmth. Jason grabbed my chin and forced me to look into his eyes. The charm usually in those eyes was gone, only a cold fury remained. His lips parted, and he said slowly, word by word. Lucy, you aborted my child. Chapter 3. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Jason asked coldly. I opened my mouth, my throat dry, and managed to squeeze out 2 words. No, I don't. Good. Jason let go of me. His cold gaze lingered on me for a few seconds before he turned and left. I heard Lisa gasp softly. I glanced at her, and she quickly looked away. I went back upstairs. Standing at the doorway of our massive bedroom, I stood still for a moment, then headed into the walk-in closet to start packing. In truth, I didn't have much to pack. Everything here had been provided by Jason. He didn't even need to pick them out himself. Clothes, shoes, jewelry, every day, someone would deliver things to the house. Just because I held the title of Mrs. Zhou, luxury brands fell over themselves to send their newest collections. I put all the things I had brought with me into my suitcase. It wasn't much. There was still half the space left empty. I sat on the couch, staring at the suitcase in a daze. I knew I'd messed up. Maybe I should call my dad and let him know I probably wouldn't be able to save the company anymore. He and Mom would be heartbroken. I didn't know how long I'd sat there when I suddenly heard a warm, familiar voice from outside. Lucy! I rushed out. Jason's mother, my mother-in-law, saw me and immediately took my hand, concern written all over her face. What happened? Did you really lose the baby? I hadn't expected Jason to move so quickly. I'm sorry, Mom, I said. Her brows furrowed deeply. How could this happen? Lucy, why didn't you say anything about something this serious? You went to the hospital alone. Do you know how risky surgery can be? If something had happened to you, how would I explain it to your parents? I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't know what else to say. She sighed and took my hand, leading me back into the bedroom. You need to lie down and rest. This is your recovery period, don't go out for the next 2 weeks. I'll have the chef from the family house come take care of your meals. Her attitude toward me hadn't changed at all. She even wanted me to stay and rest properly. I was surprised. After a moment of hesitation, I asked, Mom, what did Jason say? She sighed again. I tried calling him, but he wouldn't pick up. I haven't seen him yet. Are you two having problems? You've only been married for a month. It wasn't Jason who told you? I asked. She paused. Lisa told me. So that's how she found out. And now, I was even more unsure of where Jason stood. Lucy, tell me honestly, did something happen between you and Jason? Is he? She stopped mid-sentence and sighed heavily again. He's always been playful, but I really thought he'd settle down after getting married. That fool. Lucy, don't worry. I'll talk some sense into him. You just focus on recovering. Don't overthink things. I nodded. Okay. Thank you, Mom. She stayed with me until it got dark. She kept calling Jason, urging him to come home. Only when she finally hung up did she leave. Before she left, she reminded me not to get angry, not to fight with Jason, and to call her if anything came up. I'm sure she was hurt too. But I couldn't keep this child just because she was kind to me. Just because I was grateful. Then there was a knock on the door. Before I could respond, Lisa came in with a tray. This is chicken soup. You should drink some. I'll leave it here for you. I said nothing. She placed the bowl on the nightstand, gave me a look, then pressed her lips together and left. From the day I arrived in this house, I knew Lisa didn't like me, maybe even looked down on me. I never cared much. She was just an outsider. What I cared about was Jason. His attitude toward me. But now, I should let that go too. Some things just don't belong to you, no matter how hard you try. So it's better to let go. Let Jason go. And set myself free, too. Chapter 4. After finishing the chicken soup, I carried the bowl downstairs. Jessica saw me and hurried over. Ma'am, why are you up? You should be resting and taking care of yourself right now. She took the bowl from me. Dinner's almost ready. Why don't you go back upstairs and put on something warmer? Lisa was mopping the floor. She glanced at me but kept working. I turned my gaze away and gave Jessica a faint smile. I'm not cold. Jessica looked down at my feet. Ma'am, at least put on some socks. Don't catch a chill. Okay. I paused, then asked. Is Jason coming home for dinner? I called him just now. He said you don't need to wait to go ahead and eat, Jessica said with a sigh. Ma'am, this is normal. The young master is just angry right now, but I know he still cares about you. Honestly, I didn't understand why Jason was so angry. Wasn't there already someone else having his child? Did he really like kids that much? I went back upstairs, put on some socks, then came back down. Jessica had already set dinner on the kitchen island. I ate quietly by myself. Then I heard the elevator chime. Jason was back. Sir. Jessica greeted him warmly. "You're just in time, ma'am just started eating." "I'm not eating," Jason replied coldly and went straight upstairs. I heard Jessica sigh again. She pitied me. I probably did look pitiful. After dinner, I went upstairs to the bedroom. Jason wasn't there. I didn't look for him either. I washed up and went to bed. He didn't come in all night. The next morning when I went downstairs, Jason was already sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone. Jessica greeted me, but Jason didn't even look up. He said nothing during breakfast either, just left right after eating. Not long after he left, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law came over. My sister-in-law was 4 months pregnant. Her husband was away on a business trip, so she had been staying at her parents' house. But still, how could she come over now? "Mom, you told her?" My sister-in-law gave me a pointed look. "I'm not that superstitious." "But how could you make such a big decision on your own? You're getting more and more reckless." Though her words sounded harsh, her tone was full of concern. I lowered my head. "Sis, you shouldn't have come." I didn't believe in taboos, but others might. Just because I didn't mind didn't mean others wouldn't. She glanced around. "Where's Jason?" "Not home. He just left." "That brat," she muttered and pulled out her phone. I quickly raised my hand to stop her. "Sis, he's busy. Besides, Jessica is here if anything happens." My mother-in-law sat beside me. "Lucy, have you told your parents?" I paused, then shook my head. "I think you should let them know," she said gently. My sister-in-law nodded too. "All right. I'll call them later," I said. After chatting for a while, I urged my sister-in-law to leave, told her to come again after my recovery period. Once they were gone, I returned to my room and called my mom. Her reaction was exactly as I'd expected. She scolded me over the phone, saying I acted too rashly. What if something had gone wrong? She hung up quickly. Less than an hour later, she and Dad showed up at the house. "Why would you do this?" Mom was both angry and heartbroken, her eyes already red. Dad sat silently off to the side. Mom sat by the bed and held my hand. "Lucy, tell me the truth, have you been mistreated here?" "No." I forced a smile. "I knew it," Mom whispered, tears streaming down her face. "It's all for the sake of the family. We've put you through so much." Dad sighed and cleared his throat beside her. 5. Actually, I didn't feel wronged at all. In fact, when I first found out I could marry Jason, I was overjoyed. I felt like the luckiest person in the world. I had liked Jason since middle school. That's right, from middle school to high school, we were classmates the whole time. I secretly liked him for almost 10 years. Samantha was our classmate too. So I knew very clearly, Jason liked Samantha. Back then, Samantha was the school beauty, and Jason was the campus heartthrob. Everyone thought they were made for each other. I kept my feelings for Jason hidden deep in my heart, telling no one. After high school, we went our separate ways. Jason and Samantha got into the same university, and I heard they started dating. But for some reason, when the Zhou family chose a marriage partner, Jason gave up on Samantha and chose me. Was it just because I was obedient? I couldn't believe that alone was enough reason for us to marry. My mom was still blaming my dad, saying he had pushed me into a pit of fire. "That's enough," my dad interrupted in a low voice. "You think I don't care about my own daughter?" He looked up at me. "Lucy, if you really feel unhappy here, then get a divorce. Come home with us later." "But Dad, the company still." "Forget the company." His eyes were red. "Your mom's right. Your happiness matters most." A huge weight lifted from my chest, and I smiled sincerely. "Dad, Mom, I'm really fine. I'm doing okay here. It's just that Jason doesn't love me. If he wants a divorce to be with Samantha, I'll let him go. But if he never brings it up, then I'll keep this position as Mrs. Zhou. My dad put his whole life into that company, I can't be selfish and think only of myself. I felt lighter, not just because my parents weren't pressuring me anymore, but because I had finally decided to let go. I didn't want to like Jason anymore. And without those feelings, everything suddenly became easier. At noon, while I was having lunch with my parents, Jason came home. Seeing the extra guests, he paused briefly, then walked over. "You're here." My dad replied flatly, no longer careful or polite like before. My mom didn't speak. She just served me vegetables. "Lucy, eat more greens." "Okay." After the meal, my parents got ready to leave. Before heading out, my dad asked, "Lucy, do you want to come stay with us for a while? It'll be easier for us to take care of you." I was just about to speak, but Jason beat me to it. "Dad, Mom, don't worry. Lucy's home now, I'll take good care of her." I swallowed my words. My dad looked at me, then nodded at Jason. "Thank you, Jason. We'll head out now." "Dad, Mom," Jason took a few quick steps, obviously wanting to say something more. But my parents had already entered the elevator. The doors closed. Jason turned to look at me, his deep gaze unreadable. I gave him a small nod and went upstairs. He followed me into the bedroom. After shutting the door, he let out a cold laugh and repeated my parents' words with sarcasm. "Jason, young master, ha." He clicked his tongue. "Lucy, you aborted my child without telling me, and now you're acting like the victim? Complaining to your parents? You really know how to play the game." How could he think that? I turned to face him. I didn't. He flopped down on the couch, stretching his arms across the backrest. "Then tell me, what's going on? What did your parents mean?" "Mom just said I should let my parents know about what happened." "So I did. They only came to check on me, that's all," I explained calmly. 6. Jason clearly wasn't ready to end the conversation. He looked at me with a mocking glint in his eyes, amusement laced with contempt. "They didn't say anything else?" "They did, they said I could divorce. But I chose to lie. Nothing important. They just told me to take care of my health." Jason raised his brows slightly. "Is that so? Then take good care of yourself." I glanced at him, then walked toward the bed. Jason grabbed the remote and drew the curtains shut. Thick fabric blocked out all the light in the room. I heard the sound of footsteps, and then the bed dipped beside me. Jason had climbed on. He wrapped his arms around me from behind. I stiffened immediately. He must have noticed. "What's wrong?" he asked coldly. I closed my eyes. "Nothing." A large, warm hand landed on my lower abdomen, touching my skin directly. He started rubbing gently. Then he asked, "Does it hurt?" My mind immediately returned to that moment on the operating table. The procedure had been painless. Losing the baby didn't hurt that much emotionally either, it was barely a formed embryo. "No," I whispered. Jason didn't say anything else. I wasn't really sleepy, but somehow, in his arms, my eyelids grew heavier. I don't remember when I drifted off. I was awakened by the buzzing of a phone. Jason cursed under his breath and loosened his arms slightly to answer the call. "Hello?" he said, sounding annoyed. I heard a woman's voice. It sounded like Samantha. I was instantly wide awake. I didn't catch much of what she said. Jason mumbled a few words, hung up, and went back to scrolling his phone with one arm still around me. After a while, he let go, got out of bed, and said, "Stay here. I need to go out." He was going to see Samantha, wasn't he? I shut my eyes and told myself, "Don't think about it. Don't like him anymore." That kind of self-hypnosis really works. At least it didn't hurt as much. Jason came back a little after 5. He handed Jessica a large shopping bag and said, "For tonight." I was bored in the room, so I came downstairs to watch TV. Jessica opened the bag, peeked inside, and called out cheerfully, "Got it." She glanced at me with a smile before heading into the kitchen. I was confused. Lisa came to greet Jason and took his coat. "You're back, young master. What would you like for dinner?" Jason didn't answer her. Instead, he looked directly at me, then walked over and sat beside me, with a smile. "Dr. Ryan said you shouldn't stay in bed all day. I'll take you back to the villa tomorrow. It's more spacious, you can move around more. Just don't go outside and catch a chill." His attitude had changed so suddenly that I didn't know how to react. Was he not angry anymore? I shook my head. "No need. I can just walk around here, it's enough." Jason stared at my face. I felt a little uncomfortable. "What is it?" He smiled faintly. "Just checking your complexion. Looks better now, not so pale. What's going on with him?" Not only was his tone softer, he was home early, even came back at noon. I couldn't help but ask, "Isn't your company busy?" If he wasn't busy, then wasn't he going out to party either? He had a lot of friends, and lots of events. They always went wild. Sometimes I joined them, but I never quite fit in. Maybe he didn't like my question. His smile faded, and he gave me a long, unreadable look. "Busy?" "Of course I'm busy," he said slowly. "But you just got off the operating table. I've got to stay home and take care of you." So it was because of me. His words stung a little. I smiled weakly. "There's no need. Jessica's here, it's enough." Jason didn't respond. But for the next few days, he really stayed home. His attitude toward me changed too, not as cold as before. Though now and then, when his phone rang, he'd still go out for a while. Probably to see Samantha. Chapter 7. My mother-in-law insisted that I stay home and rest for a full month before letting me go out. The first thing I did was go back to my parents' house. But my mom still wasn't at ease. She kept asking if I felt unwell and even said she'd take me to the hospital for a checkup later. I couldn't help laughing. "Mom, I'm really fine now, not the slightest bit uncomfortable. Dr. Ryan already came and checked on me. I'm going to buy a black chicken. It's free-range and full of nutrients," she said as she walked out the door. I quickly followed. "I'll go with you." On the way, I asked, "Has Dad been really busy lately?" During that month, it was mostly my mom who came to visit me. My dad was tied up with work. She nodded. "You know how he is. He's poured most of his life into the company. If he could, he'd just live there." I lowered my head, not saying anything. "Don't overthink it," my mom said gently. "Your dad said if you really don't want to stay married to Jason, even if it means losing the company, he won't let you keep suffering." I smiled and nodded. "I know. I'm not suffering, really. I was doing well now. Once you stop caring, everything feels lighter, that's an eternal truth." When my dad found out I'd come home, he got off work early and came back around 5. At dinner, he suddenly asked, "Lucy, have you thought about the divorce?" I froze for a moment. I hadn't expected him to be so persistent about it. "Jason's here," Aunt Zhang interrupted. I turned my head at her voice, and sure enough, Jason walked in. Tall and imposing, he radiated an intense presence. He always wore a lazy, devil-may-care smile, but it never reached his eyes, as if nothing and no one truly mattered to him. He pulled out the chair next to mine and sat down. "Dad." "Mom." My parents nodded politely and asked if he'd eaten yet. "Not yet." Jason turned to Aunt Zhang. "Set another place for me." Then he glanced at me. "Why didn't you tell me you were coming home?" I opened my mouth, but before I could respond, he asked again, "So who were you thinking of divorcing?" He'd heard. He was still smiling, but his eyes were cold. I didn't know what to say. My dad sighed and spoke. "Lucy's mother and I agree, if you don't love her, if the two of you aren't happy together, then you should divorce. As for the company, I'm getting old anyway. Whatever happens, happens. My mom nodded in agreement. A shadow briefly flickered across Jason's face. Then he chuckled lightly. Why wouldn't I be happy? Are you unhappy being with me, sweetheart? I forced a smile. They're just worried about me. Let's eat. Aunt Jean brought out his utensils. The table fell into silence. My mom kept piling vegetables on my plate, urging me to eat more. My dad gave Jason a polite smile. Jason, you should eat more too. Jason laughed like he'd just heard a good joke. Dad, your son-in-law is half a son. No need to be so formal, we're all family here. My dad just smiled faintly. It was clear my parents no longer tried to please Jason. After everything that happened, especially the abortion, they saw the marriage as a failure. But Jason, the things he said felt full of sarcasm. All that talk about family and son-in-law, he never used to speak like that. I had no idea what he meant anymore. Chapter 8. Around 7 p.m., Jason and I headed back. We didn't speak the entire way. In the elevator, he suddenly asked, "What do you mean by all this?" I blinked in confusion. What? He sneered. You don't care about your family's company anymore? My chest tightened. Right, our marriage was tied to my family's business future. He was reminding me. No, mocking me. This wasn't my choice to begin with, and divorce wasn't mine to decide either. I knew that. I'd known all along. I'm not planning on divorcing, I said. Jason narrowed his eyes. If that's the case, then stop acting like you're some poor victim. I don't want Mom and Dad getting the wrong idea. When the elevator doors opened, he stepped out first. Lisa rushed up eagerly to take his coat. I turned and walked toward the stairs. Then Jason's voice suddenly snapped out, loud and angry. Can't you see the young madam is back? I jumped in surprise, and so did Lisa. She froze for 2 seconds, then hurried toward me, voice trembling. Welcome back, young madam. I replied flatly and went upstairs. Just as I took off my coat, Jason entered. I ignored him and headed to the walk-in closet. He followed, pointing at the luggage I had packed weeks ago. His tone was icy. What's this? Where were you planning to go? That was from almost a month ago. Back then, I thought he'd be furious over the abortion and ask for a divorce, so I'd packed in advance. But he never did. And as time passed, my resolve to leave softened. I couldn't be selfish. I couldn't just walk away from the company. I walked over, unzipped the suitcase, and started unpacking. I just thought about going home for a while. Jason said nothing. I quietly put everything back in place, then turned and looked him in the eye. Maybe it was time we talked. Jason, I know our marriage was a business arrangement. You married me out of pity for my family, and I'm truly grateful. I also understand that my family's company depends on you. I know where I stand. So as long as you don't bring up divorce, I won't either. So you admit, you did think about divorcing me? I did. But I've thought it through now. I took a deep breath and gave a small smile. I had the abortion because I didn't think a child should be born into a loveless marriage. And also because of you and Samantha. I bit my lower lip and poured my heart out. I admit, I used to mind that you liked her. But not anymore. I promise I won't care again. If you want me to stay as Mrs. Zhou, I will. If you want to be with Samantha, I'll wish you happiness. The decision has always been yours. Jason's face grew darker by the second, like frozen water trickling from beneath ice, chilling to the bone. You're wishing me happiness with another woman? Lucy, wow. I really picked the right wife. Every man in the world would kill to have someone so obedient and thoughtful. I could hear the sarcasm dripping from every word. But isn't that what you wanted? Isn't that why you married me? Because I always did what I was told? You Jason gritted his teeth and turned to storm out. I left the closet, returned to the bedroom, and called my dad. I told him I wanted to start working at the company. He agreed immediately. All right, I'll arrange it tomorrow. After hanging up, I went back to reading. Just before 10 p.m., I was about to wash up when Jessica came rushing in, anxious and out of breath. Young madam, young master drank a lot tonight. He's downstairs, and he's calling your name over and over. 9. I was confused. How could that be possible? Still, I went downstairs. Lisa's anxious voice drifted up from below. Yeah, Samantha, please come quickly. Young Master Jason keeps calling your name. My steps faltered. I turned to Jessica. Did he say Sasa? It's probably Samantha. Jessica looked upset and quickly went downstairs to scold Lisa. What's wrong with you? The young madam is still at home, and you're calling another woman over? Lisa didn't back down. But Samantha isn't just anyone. Then she turned smugly toward me. Young madam, this is the young master's home. Of course, I follow his orders. If he wants Samantha, I have to call her. I didn't do anything wrong. You, shut up. Jessica snapped. I didn't say anything. I just turned around and went back upstairs. Since he was calling for Samantha, it had nothing to do with me. Oddly, I felt calm. There was still a sting in my heart, but I could suppress it. That, I thought, was a good start, a fresh start. I don't know if Samantha came or not. I went to sleep. Half asleep, I felt someone hugging me tightly. I instantly snapped awake. I peeled his arm off my waist and got up to turn on the light. Sure enough, it was Jason. He squinted in the light, adjusting. What are you doing? I asked coldly. Jason sobered up a little. Sleeping, what else? A wave of disgust welled up in me. I frowned and got out of bed. Jason quickly caught up and grabbed my wrist. What are you doing? I'm sleeping in the guest room, I said blandly. His grip tightened. Lucy, what is it you want? I could accept that he loved Samantha. I could accept them being together. But I couldn't accept him touching me after being with Samantha. It made me sick. I yanked my hand away and walked toward the door. Jason followed again. I finally lost patience. I looked him in the eye and said, Jason, I don't love you anymore. Let's get a divorce. Jason froze. What did you say? I said, let's get divorced. You loved me? He took a step forward, looking anxious. Lucy, you loved me? I paused, then laughed. Yes. From middle school up until a month ago. But not anymore. If you still want to help our family's company, thank you. I'll do my best to repay you. If not, that's fine too. I'll accept the consequences. And I think my parents will too. I walked past him. He grabbed my wrist again. I was completely done with him. I shouted, what exactly do you want from me? His eyes darkened. You really loved me? Do you not understand what I'm saying? Then why don't you love me anymore? What a joke. Why should I love you? Jason said nothing. I pulled my hand free and walked away. Behind me, he said in a low voice, I won't divorce you. Whatever. I went to the guest room and went back to sleep. If he wouldn't divorce me, that meant the company was safe for now. I knew my abilities were limited, but I would do my best to help my father get the company on solid footing, without Jason. 10. The next morning, when I went downstairs, Jason was already at the island counter, working on his laptop. When he heard me, he turned to look. I wasn't sure what his attitude would be. After all, I had completely lost it last night. He probably didn't expect that. Maybe he thought it over and decided he did want a divorce. Just as I was hesitating to approach, Jason spoke first. Breakfast's ready, wife. That word again. Why was it suddenly rolling off his tongue so easily? I sat down. Only Lisa was there. Where's Jessica? I asked. She had something to do last night and went home, Jason said, pushing a glass of soy milk toward me. I didn't get what he was doing anymore, and honestly, I didn't care. Jason glanced at me. Why are you dressed so formally today? I'm going to work at my family's company. He gave a faint smile. Great. While you're at it, think about where you want to go for our honeymoon. Honeymoon? I looked at him, surprised. With me? He laughed like I'd said something funny. Who else? You're my wife. If not with you, then who? I looked at Lisa. She immediately lowered her head and busied herself. I didn't respond. I just continued eating. Emotions churned inside me for no reason. After breakfast, Jason insisted on driving me to the office. I didn't want to ride with him. I'll take a cab home after work. Text me half an hour before you're done. I'll pick you up, he said, gesturing for me to get in the car. Too tired to argue, I got in. I stared out the window the whole ride. Jason didn't say a word either. When we arrived at the company, I got out. He called out behind me, after work. I didn't wait for him to finish. I went inside. My dad asked how things were with Jason. I told him the truth. Jason refused to divorce me. My dad seemed relieved. He really did care about the company. But I knew if I insisted on a divorce, he would still support me. Dad, is there really no way forward for the company except relying on Jason? I asked, unwilling to accept it. He sighed. Right now, it's the safest and simplest option. In other words, no matter how hard I worked, I could never match the impact of one word from Jason. I understood. So, I focused on learning the ropes at the company. Then I got a call from Samantha. She wanted to meet. What is it? I asked. She paused. It's about Jason. Can we talk in person? If it's about you two, you should talk to him. I'm busy. I'll wait, she interrupted. Anytime you're free. We'll talk then. Okay. I hung up and went back to work. Around 6, Jason called again. He asked when I was finishing and said he'd come pick me up. Thinking of Samantha, I declined. No need. I've got something to do. I'll head back later on my own. After work, I went straight to the cafe where I'd agreed to meet Samantha. I got to the point immediately. Just say what you want to say. Samantha looked down at her stomach, then up at me. Lucy, can you give Jason to me? I paused. Why are you telling me this? She looked so sad. Because as long as you're around, Jason will never be with me. I think you're mistaken. I'm not the obstacle between you two. I can divorce Jason anytime. If you want him, go to him. I stood up. Now that I've made myself clear, there's no need for us to meet privately again. I nodded at her, then left. 11. I returned to the new house. Jason was sitting on the sofa, Jessica and Lisa weren't there. I just glanced at him lightly and headed upstairs. Stop. Jason's voice was low and firm. I turned my head. What is it? He slowly stood and walked over. His tall figure blocked the light above me, making my vision dim slightly. Jason's eyes were sharp and cold. Lucy, explain this. What do you mean by saying you can divorce me anytime? After a moment, I realized Samantha must have told him what I said earlier. That was fast. I mean exactly what I said. So you've been thinking about divorcing me all this time, haven't you? No, I haven't, I spoke honestly. But if you want a divorce, I will respect your choice. You really are the perfect wife I picked, Jason sneered coldly. I didn't want to argue. I took a step toward the stairs. Jason grabbed my wrist and pulled me back. He held me tightly, then bent down and covered my mouth. I struggled hard, but against him, my strength was useless. He pressed me against the wall in a few steps, like a storm taking my breath away. It hurt. He pinned my hands above my head on the wall. His thin lips parted as he spoke unclearly but harshly, "Lucy, put away these thoughts. Don't let me hear those two words again." I bent my knees and bumped him. Jason released me and stepped back to dodge. He chuckled softly, "That harsh? Even if you don't care about me, don't you care about your own future happiness?" I exhaled deeply. "Jason, I don't know what you're thinking or why you won't divorce me. That's your choice, but I have one condition." "What condition?" "Don't touch me. Also, from now on, we shouldn't be in the same room." Jason frowned. "We're married." "But I don't want that, and you can't force me." "You don't want that?" Jason repeated. "Go find Samantha." I turned and headed upstairs. "What does Samantha have to do with this?" Jason shouted. I said nothing and went straight to the guest room. After over an hour, there was a knock at the door, and Jason came in. "Dinner's ready." I put down my folder and got up to go out. Jason followed behind me, his footsteps close. Jessica and Lisa weren't there. Dinner was just 2 bowls of noodles, looks like Jason cooked himself. I didn't even know he could cook. The noodles were actually quite good. At the table, neither of us spoke a word. He ate slowly. I finished first, washed my bowl, and went back to my room. Jason didn't come to find me all night. That was better. The next morning, when I went downstairs, Jessica and Lisa were there, but Jason wasn't. I didn't ask about him and sat at the island. Jessica went to get breakfast. Lisa grumbled unhappily nearby, "Because of you, the young master can't stand being home anymore. How can you even eat?" I turned to look at her. Lisa immediately lowered her head and pretended to be busy. "What did you just say?" I asked coldly. Lisa said nothing, but her expression was clearly defiant. I stared at her. "Our young master refuses to divorce me now. That means I'm still the lady of this house. You have no say here, ever." Lisa bit her lip but didn't make a sound. "I don't need you here. Leave." Jessica brought breakfast, and I picked up my chopsticks. Lisa hurried over, incredulous. "What did you say?" I didn't even look at her. "You're fired." "You have no right to fire me," Lisa cried. "Pack your things and leave immediately." Lisa didn't move. She took out her phone and called, crying, "Young master, come back quickly. Something's happened." 12. Jason came back just as I finished eating. He strode over, breathing a bit fast. "Lucy, what's going on?" I glanced coldly at Lisa. Lisa cried and complained, "Young Master Jason, she wants to fire me and says she's the lady of the house. She doesn't even respect you." Jason's gaze at me flickered for a moment, then he slowly turned to Lisa. "What did you say?" Lisa repeated what she said. Jason's aura turned icy. "So, you think what she said is wrong?" Lisa hesitated. "The lady told you to leave and you still don't. Are you waiting for me to make someone kick you out?" Jason's voice was cold. Lisa's eyes widened in disbelief. "But young master," Samantha said. "What does Samantha have to do with this?" Jason suddenly grew irritable. Lisa flinched, and Jessica hurried her to pack up. Lisa left crying in the end. So Lisa was working for Samantha. That explains why she disliked me so much. I didn't really care about her, or even Jason and Samantha's affairs. What I wanted now was for my company to stand on its own. I went upstairs to change. Jason was still there. He came to me, voice low, "I'll see you off." "No need." I stepped toward the elevator. Jason suddenly grabbed my wrist and pulled me back. "What exactly do you want?" he growled. I looked at him calmly. "I don't want anything." He gritted his teeth. "So you really want a divorce? If you want a divorce, Lucy, that's your idea, isn't it? And now you're turning it back on me? He laughed sarcastically. I didn't want to argue. It was pointless. Let go. I'm going to work. One last time. He tightened his grip on my wrist. I won't divorce you. Never. Don't even think about it. Suit yourself. You don't have to tell me that. I pulled my hand free and entered the elevator. Jason turned to look at me. The elevator doors slowly closed. I exhaled and felt dizzy for a moment. How did things between Jason and me get like this? I'm tired. Annoyed. It's not Jason I'm annoyed with, but this tangled, messy relationship, me, Jason, and Samantha. While in a meeting at work, I got a call from Lisa. She said, I don't even have a job now, all because of you. You need to take responsibility. I just found it laughable and hung up. Unexpectedly, she caused a scene at the company. I had no choice but to meet her. At a cafe beside the office, Lisa and I sat face to face. I fired you because you upset me. If you're unhappy, you can sue me. But I came today to warn you, don't cause trouble at the company again. Otherwise, you'll be the one receiving a summons. After saying what I needed, I was about to leave. Lisa shouted, Lucy, you have no shame. Everyone in the cafe turned to look at us. Lisa kept yelling, young master like Samantha. They're meant for each other. You're the destroyer, the one breaking them apart. You'll get what's coming to you. I turned around, grabbed my water cup, and splashed it in Lisa's face. If you say one more word, I'm calling the police. Lisa finally shut up. But things went way beyond what I expected. The clip of Lisa calling me a homewrecker got posted online, and I got cyberbullied. For a while, all kinds of insults poured down on me. My mom called, asking what was going on. My dad came to my office, asking why this happened. Yeah, how did it come to this? It's all Jason's fault. 13. The online video disappeared quickly, as if some mysterious force had taken it down. At the same time, another video appeared, an interview with Samantha. In the video, reporters crowded around Samantha tightly. Samantha, is the child in your womb Jason's? People online say Lucy ruined your relationship with Jason. Is that true? Do you have anything to say about Lucy and Jason? Samantha protected her belly and curled up, avoiding the cameras. I have nothing to say. If Miss Lucy really loves Jason, then I will let her be. Will you bless them? A reporter asked. Samantha immediately broke down in tears. I closed my eyes and turned off the video. I was really annoyed, so I grabbed my bag and left. Just outside the company, insults started flying, followed by eggs raining down on me. One egg hit my eye. I instinctively shut my eyes and then a pair of hands pushed me to the ground. Shameless. Damn you. They kept shouting, but suddenly an angry voice roared, what are you doing? Stop right now. I opened my eyes slightly and saw the crowd dispersing. Jason rushed over, helped me up, and gently wiped my eye with a handkerchief. Are you hurt anywhere? His voice was low but caring. I pulled away coldly. I had the video taken down, including Samantha's interview. He grabbed my arm. Come on, let's go to the hospital. Don't touch me. I pushed him away. I don't need you to handle my affairs. Go to the hospital first. Jason grabbed my arm again. I pushed him off. This time, he scooped me up in his arms and put me into his car. I didn't resist anymore. At the hospital, my elbow was bruised and my hand scraped, but nothing serious. The doctor treated my wounds quickly. Afterwards, Jason said, don't worry, I'll handle everything. I said nothing and got in the car. Jason got in too and suddenly asked, do you think the child Samantha's carrying is mine? Isn't it? Actually, it didn't matter to me anymore. That day at the hospital, I just ran into her by chance. Jason sounded stiff trying to explain. My brother-in-law was on a business trip. I was just helping my sister get some folic acid. He paused, then added, I don't like Samantha. I never liked her. Back in school, we only interacted during events and competitions. I already knew that Jason and Samantha were both good students and often represented the school together. But him saying he never liked Samantha surprised me. Rumors always said he did. Jason seemed to see through my thoughts and answered my silent question. The rumor that I liked her was spread by Samantha herself. I couldn't care less to explain. He paused again. I didn't even know you liked me. You never showed it or said anything. I thought you didn't feel anything for me. I stared out the window, forcing myself not to look at him. It was all no longer my concern. I felt better now, no longer hurt by him not loving me. Whoever he liked or was with didn't matter, I was finally relieved. The car stopped outside the new house. Jason and I went inside together. Jessica met us right as we got off the elevator. Madam, what happened to you? You're covered in egg. Go wash up, I'll get you some water. Thank you. I went upstairs with Jessica. 14. I washed for over an hour until the egg smell was gone. Jason opened the door and came in. I glanced at him sideways. This is my room. Please leave. He stepped closer. I got up to leave, but as we passed, he grabbed my wrist. This is your home. If you want this room, I can give it back to you. I'll move out. I like you. Jason interrupted. His confession caught me off guard. You like me? I said, incredulous. Yes. He looked me in the eyes confidently. I've liked you since middle school. I still didn't believe it. It seemed impossible. Jason must have noticed my doubt. He gave a bitter smile. I've never liked anyone else or chased anyone. People always swarmed around me, but you always kept your distance. At first, I wanted to be good to you, but over time, I got frustrated. You were so cold. I remembered. There was a time Jason was really nice to me, always showing up unexpectedly, smiling with those charming eyes, calling my name. Lucy. Why don't you respond to me? Can I call you Lucy? I'll buy you ice cream. What flavor do you like? Then, the first milk tea of autumn. Lucy, I have a basketball game tomorrow. Come cheer for me. Lucy, what type do you like? I'll introduce you. Lucy, what's so great about you? I liked him back then, but the closer he got, the more afraid I became, afraid to expose my feelings. My parents and school forbade dating. Jason was outstanding, surrounded by beautiful girls. I was nothing. So I forced myself to be cold to him. Eventually, he stopped trying. Memories rushed at me. I closed my eyes to stop them. Jason swallowed, his voice hoarse. When you said you liked me, were you lying? I never felt it, not even a little. His eyes reddened. If you had shown even a little, I would have shown you how much I've loved you all these years. His voice trembled slightly. I forced myself not to think about you. But when my mom gave me those photos during the arranged marriage, I couldn't stop thinking about you. You're the only one I want to spend my life with. So even if you weren't in the photos, I said your name. He laughed bitterly. You agreed to marry me, but you're still so cold. I want to ask, what's so special about you? Why do you ignore me? When you saw me at the hospital, you didn't even ask why I was there, if I was sick. But I worried about you. I wanted to ask, but your eyes never looked at me. Lucy, why? Is this what you mean when you say you like me? His voice was full of frustration and anger. You don't even want to have my child. Lucy, why? Can you tell me? He said so much all at once. My head was spinning, unable to process everything. Jason took a deep breath, hope shining in his eyes. Do you really like me? I just stared at him. After a long moment, my brain slowly started working again. I thought you liked Samantha. I thought her child was yours. Jason sneered. You didn't even ask me and just assumed her child was mine. So you gave up on our child, didn't you? Boom. Something exploded inside my mind. If what he said was true, then my child. My child. 15. I needed some time alone, just to be by myself. I locked myself in my room and stared out the window, lost in thought. I don't know how much time passed before Jason came in. When I looked at him, my vision was blurry. I realized tears were streaming down my face. He came over, crouched in front of me, and held my hand. Lucy, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I should have told you earlier that I liked you. Maybe things would have turned out differently, maybe we could have been together sooner. I opened my mouth, my throat burning with pain, and finally managed to say, I thought you married me just because I'm obedient and won't interfere. That you could still be with Samantha, and I told you, it's all my fault, he said, wiping the tears from my cheek gently. I was too proud to tell you I liked you, afraid you'd look down on me. Whenever I thought you might hate me, I'd say things to upset you. I'm sorry, Lucy. I shook my head. We both made mistakes. Jason squeezed my hand. You said you don't like me anymore. Is that true? I paused, then nodded. Disappointment showed on Jason's face, but quickly he smiled again. It's okay. I can wait for you, until you like me again. That's not what I meant. My throat felt dry. I swallowed. Jason, my mind is a mess right now. Please give me some time. Okay. I want to move out. If I stayed here, I wouldn't be able to think clearly or figure out how I truly feel about him. Jason's expression darkened. You can't think here. How can I, with you around? What's there to think about? Jason stood up, his attitude shifting back to the usual arrogance. I cleared up all your misunderstandings. You were just overthinking. Why can't you like me like before? Lucy, do you really like me? Was he acting? This was his true face. Jason clenched his teeth. You say you won't live here, fine. But don't even think about me moving out. He said that and left. That night, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law came over. Lucy, Jason said you both like each other, so just live happily, my mother-in-law coaxed. Don't you agree? My sister-in-law chimed in, yeah, that day I really did ask Jason to help get my folic acid. My brother-in-law was out on a business trip, and I often asked Jason to help me. Are you mad at me? Of course not, I quickly denied. Now that I thought about it, when Samantha called Jason that day, he looked at his phone for a while and then left. He must have gotten a WeChat message from my sister-in-law, not related to Samantha at all. It was all a misunderstanding on my part. But I was really annoyed with him those days. I truly didn't want to like him. Those feelings hadn't gone away yet. For now, I just wanted to live alone for a while. With time and space, I could think through our relationship properly. I told my mother-in-law and sister-in-law what was on my mind. My sister-in-law nodded in agreement and then called Jason. Let Lucy move out. She'll come back once she figures things out. Jason frowned coldly, refusing. Don't even think about it. My mother-in-law grabbed a pillow and scolded him, what do you think you're doing? You don't listen to your sister, you don't listen to your wife, do you think you're God? Mom! Jason growled. Suddenly, he grabbed my wrist and dragged me upstairs. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law couldn't catch up. Jason locked the door behind us. Lucy, I'm telling you one last time, don't even think about moving out. You either stay here and think it through, or forget about separating even temporarily. I'm not getting a divorce, not even if I die. If you try to leave, I'll lock you in this room and you'll never get out. 16. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law knocked on the door, asking Jason to let me out. Jason grew agitated. What else do you want to think about? I'll treat you well from now on, obey whatever you say, isn't that enough? Do you want me to kneel for you? He nodded. Fine, I'll kneel. Before I could say anything, Jason rolled up his pants and knelt down right in front of me, both knees on the floor. He raised his head and asked, "Are you satisfied now?" "Lucy, I don't care about my pride anymore. If you still want to leave, I'll kneel forever. You decide what to do, but if my knees get ruined, you'll support me for life." I was both angry and amused, my chest aching. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law fell silent. I sighed deeply. "You can get up now. If you don't leave, I'll get up." I really had no way to deal with him. "Fine, I won't leave." Jason's expression flickered, like he was scheming. Suddenly, he asked cautiously, "Then how about no separation?" If you don't agree, I won't get up. Whatever works." Jason's little trick was clear to me now. "Don't go too far." He looked away. "Then I won't get up. I'll kneel here forever." "Get up." I pulled his arm. But this rascal leaned in and kissed me. By the time I went downstairs again, it was already dark. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law had left. I sat on the sofa exhausted, while Jason looked like a radiant spirit, glowing and cheerful, just wearing a towel around his waist, heading straight to the kitchen. He even hummed a little tune. I knew why he was happy. Earlier in bed, I couldn't take it anymore and admitted I still liked him. But that was mostly because he forced me to say it. He was playing tricks on me. I glanced at his back but couldn't help smiling. This feeling was good, really. I felt much lighter. Actually, I didn't need to think so much. I didn't want to like him, but how can liking or not liking be so simple? This time, it was because he liked me that I liked him back. Now Jason and I were equal. During dinner, Jason told me, "I won't brag anymore. From now on, I'll obey you and behave well." So all those times he said he married me because I was obedient, he was just boasting. How did I end up liking a person like this? Samantha asked to meet me again, but I refused. I had nothing to say to her. "I came to apologize," Samantha said before I could hang up. "Sorry, Lucy." I knew she wasn't sincere. Jason must have told her to say that. Lisa also wanted to apologize, but I rejected her too. I won't forgive Lisa, but I'll let it go. I won't even keep them in my heart. I will live my own life well. Jason and I were officially together and even went on a honeymoon. Our family business was doing better and better with Jason's help. Of course, my own efforts played a big part too. I would continue working hard for the company, but no longer to escape Jason. Everything I did was for myself. Jason supported me. He even said, "Wifey, work hard, and someday you'll support me." Honestly, Jason is cuter when he's being playful and spoiled. Looking back, that's how Jason was from the start. I just didn't cherish him enough. Thankfully, the adorable Jason is back.